So in the previous lecture, we have seen the basic prompt engineering technique, right? Now let's see the next one, that is role task context prompt. So let me go to prompt engineering demo folder, click on this and then click on file, new file and select Python file and let's save it. Inside our prompt engineering demo, I'm saving with the name role task context prompt demo and click on save. So we created this Python file, right? Now let me go to basic prompt. So from here till initializing the LLM, this is all same code, right? So what we did here, if you already install these packages, you don't have to install again, right? In case if you did not install already, make sure you install these packages and then import all the required modules. And then here we are trying to load the environment variables from environment file. And then from environment file, we are trying to read the API key. And then we are trying to store this API key inside OpenAI API key, right? And the next thing is we are trying to initialize the LLM. We are using OpenAI as our LLM, right? Now, here we defined our prompt template, right? So similar to how we did for basic prompt, let's try to define our template for role task context prompt, right? So for example, let's assume this is how our template is. You are a highly professional customer support specialist at a premium tech company, and your goal is to address the customer's concerns while maintaining a calm and helpful demeanor. And here we're passing again a customer message variable, and this is how it should respond. Please provide a response that number 1 acknowledges the customer's feelings, number 2 addresses their concerns professionally, number 3 offers concrete solutions, number 4 ends with a positive note, right? So if you see here, what is role, task and context here? So role means here we are assigning a role as you are a highly professional customer support specialist at a premium tech company, right? And then we assigned a task or goal. The goal is nothing but to address the customer's concerns while maintaining a calm and helpful demeanor, right? And then here we are providing the context, right? So we will pass the context here as customer message, and then we are telling our LLM to respond in this way, right? So here you can see in the basic prompt, we did not provide any role or task or context, right? But whereas in role task context prompt, here we are defining the role and the task or goal, and this is the context, and we are telling our LLM to respond in this way, right? So what we are doing here, you are directing an LLM on how it should respond, right? For example, let's say if your LLM is writing 4 sentences as the response, and we want LLM to write as 1 to acknowledge the customer's feelings, and the other one is to address their concerns professionally, and the next one is to offer concrete solutions, and finally end with a positive note, right? So here we are trying to provide more context, right? So role task context prompt is better than basic prompt, right? Because now the LLM understands its role, task and context to the problem we want the LLM to solve, right? For example, let's assume you want a travel itinerary, right? So you can write the role as you are a travel agent or a travel planner, and your task is give me budget friendly travel itinerary for different locations, right? And you can provide the context as I am traveling from location A to location B, and then return me the itinerary with. You can tell the LLM to provide the response as number 1 provide me the flight details, number 2 provide me the hotel details, number 3 provide me price details, and number 4 any other suggestions, right? So that is how you can define your role context template, right? And once you defined your template, as you know, the next step is creating the prompt by using this prompt template, right? So how do we define our role context prompt? Inside prompt template, we are assigning customer message to input variables and role context template, which we defined before, to the template variable, right? And then next thing is this role context prompt will be chained with the LLM by using LLM chain, right? So this is inside LangChain, right? So we are passing the LLM that we initialized before. For the prompt variable, we are assigning role context prompt, which we defined before. So now we got the LLM chain. Now the next step is we have to run this, right? So inside our role context chain, we have a method called run. So let's try to run it and then print the LLM response. So we haven't defined the customer message yet, right? So let me copy this customer message that we have defined before. And now before we print, let's try to pass this same customer message. And now let's see how the LLM responds, right? So with the basic prompt, we saw the LLM response. Now with the role task context prompt, let's see how the LLM responds, right? Because here we provided the role and task and the context, and then how we want our LLM to respond, right? Now let's try to run the code. So click on run. So now let's see the LLM response here, right? Dear valued customer, I completely understand your frustration and disappointment with the delay in your delivery. I apologize for any inconvenience this has caused you. Rest assured, we take your concerns very seriously and we will do everything in our power to resolve this issue promptly. I will personally look into the status of your delivery and provide you with an update as soon as possible. In the meantime, I will expedite a refund for the express delivery fee you paid. Additionally, I will ensure that your order is processed swiftly and delivered to you at the earliest possible time. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, and please accept our sincerest apologies for the inconvenience. We appreciate your patience and understanding as we work to rectify this situation. Best regards, your name and customer support specialist at so and so company, right? So if you see here, because we provided more context and we provided more guidance to LLM, if you notice the response here, you can see first thing is we are telling it to acknowledge the customer feeling, right? So that is why it provided this one. And then we are telling address their concerns professionally, right? So that is why it is telling this. And then offer concrete solutions. So what is the concrete solution? We are trying to refund, right? And then end with a positive note, right? So now you see the difference between the LLM response with basic prompt that we did before, right? Here we did not provide any role or task or context, right? Whereas with the role task context prompt, we provided what is the role, what is the task, what is the context, and how we want the LLM to respond, right? So just by adding context, you can see the change in the LLM response, right? So remember, prompt engineering plays a major role in getting the right response from the LLM and to make sure the LLM doesn't hallucinate, right? So it's more common sense than technical when writing your prompts, right? So this is our role task context prompt. So what we did here, install the packages and we imported the required modules, and then we tried to read the key, and then we stored our OpenAI API key inside this variable, and then we initialized our LLM. We created our role context template with a role and goal and then more context, and we are telling the LLM to respond in this way, and then we passed these variables to prompt template and we got the prompt. And then the next thing is using LLM chain, we passed our LLM and the role context prompt that we defined before. and this is the same customer message, and we are calling the run method inside our LLM chain, and we are passing the customer message, and we saw the response from LLM by using role task context prompt engineering technique. All right, thank you.